Um, I would love to wanted to share good information, some brilliant our brilliant idea what I do. So I do a lot of AI things, and one thing I'm going to share is our SmartView product. What are this about? SmartView. They imagine the shopping floor, cameras on the ceiling. They're tracking customers, and they build a picture. They build a picture of customers, of the customer profile, and they guess what he wants to buy, even if he doesn't know it. So, customer comes into a shopping floor. He roams between the shelves and makes some points. We have a merchandise map, so the cameras are tracking him constantly. And when he comes to a cashier or some point, we can get a notification on some wearable device of assistant who is just constantly watching, and then he make him offer the customer can never refuse.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously, I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, I think AI is transforming the way the retail is done. Tell us a little bit more about, what are the specific areas within that journey of the customer that you're trying to solve?
We want to help customer make his decision. You know the fact that 90% of customers who go into the shop, they don't know what they want to buy. I don't know. When I come to hi-fi shop, I just roaming between shelves. I just looking at Apple production, Microsoft production, and the other production. So just brands, and I'm looking for iPhones. I'm looking for other mobile phones. I have no idea, but I have something in my mind, which make me a more Apple adept rather than Microsoft as an Android. So, for instance, and that's why this product SmartView is tracking my behavior in the shopping floor. That means what I do, my emotions when I take some product to look at, how fast, how quick I'm moving. That's all building a big picture, and that assists me to make a right decision.
And now, obviously, I mean, if you think about retail stores, particularly electronic stores, I mean, I shop a lot, and I love going to technology shops as well, like JB Hi-Fi, any one of those types of shops. Um, Usually, usually in a few minutes, the sales assistants or the retailers in the shop, they're very good at kind of watching your body language and kind of saying, you know what, I'm just going to go up and saying, hey, is this something I can help you? Are you looking for something? I mean, what is the current experience like, and what are some of the challenges that you're trying to change?
Yeah, this behavior is very annoying sometimes. Many people find it annoying when you just came and someone comes to you and, may I help you? How can I help you? These all questions we want to eliminate. Uh, what the customer wants is to make a choice. And if he made his choice, his body language, his behavior will show that he made his choice. Here, we just need to catch him and to make an offer. He
Nice.
already decided what he wanted to buy, but he cannot express it.
Right. So at the moment, there is a lot of human intervention. There's a lot of touch points, in some cases, obviously.
Absolutely.
Particularly the some of the more high touch point retail shops, electronic shops, where you have sales assistants, and they would try to help you identify that. And obviously, a lot of them are trained well enough to kind of know when to leave somebody alone or when to intervene. Right? I mean, they're kind of like trained a lot of the times. Are you kind of looking at, replacing this model, or are you looking at providing technology where it augments what is being done, or you're looking at particular models where you're providing assistance in areas and environments where there is nobody there to assist?
Two problems. First one is that not all the staff are well trained. That's the first one. And the second one, even if well trained staff will not interfere with clients' decision and don't affect that, just to trying to truly assist him. In this case, when they come too early or too late, this will be a miss. So the good idea is to augment that, to extend the customer behavior, customer wishes to what the shop may offer.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously, I can see huge potential if this can be solved. So tell us a bit more about where are you with that journey in trying to implement some of these types of things?
The product is already implemented. So we built a proof of concept, which worked in a couple of our French stores. And we tried that before the pandemic. So during the pandemic, we're developing the technology thing. We are now analyzing emotions. Before that, we didn't analyze emotions because taking 80% of the customers, they don't express emotions too much. We took into account other things like time of day, like weather, who is accompanying the customer, how fast he's moving, many other factors. And now we are in the step to emotions. Now we are going to capture other 20% of customers, which do express emotions, which are very emotional. Yeah, and we are extending our prototype to a good product, I believe.
Awesome. And how exactly are you being able to analyze the emotions? What is it that you're tracking?
You know how face recognition works? It has a points on face, which are moving in some direction, some mask. So the same with the emotions. When we build an emotion which is neutral emotion, so angry emotion, many stages of emotion, so we can understand what the customer face now express. Here's a drawback of this, because we need to have shop equipped with very good cameras. Security cameras doesn't work because it's hard to recognize. It's the quality of security cameras is very low. They need to install additional cameras, more powerful cameras, like those, I think.
I don't know if you need those. I mean, would you need such a high 4K, plus cameras to be able to do these types of things?
I'm not sure about the parameters of these cameras, but yeah, something close. We need to make face fully visible from any point, because customer may have a can of Coke, take a can of Coke and, for instance, or iPhone, and make some angle the camera don't catch.
Yeah. So how visible is it is at the moment to be able to put all the infrastructure in place to be able to effectively perform these types of analytics?
Yeah, we need to put so on the row we calculated for the square. So for a row on the market on the shopping floor, say 10 minutes, 10 meters length. It requires 6 cameras for now to track the customer. So it's too much. We need to reduce that. That's the first step to improve. And the second issue we faced working with customers, with enterprise customers, is that they want to own their data. The data grabbed from one particular outlet, they will never be shared with other outlet. So we cannot build one model. We need to create separate models for every outlet or for every business.
In terms of ownership, I mean, that's a very challenging point about ownership, right? It's almost like saying if you put a camera in your store, the content that you generate is yours.
Absolutely.
Is there any reason for that data not to be accessible to you to train your models?
To train external models, definitely not. But we can make some snapshots of data, of some grab data to train other models. But it's another research work. It's much easier to set up a second instance of for now. Set up a second instance of shop to train another model, and they are not compatible because models are usually they rely to the merchandise map, to the shopping configuration like this. So in different shops there will be different models.
Yeah. In terms of, I mean, you mentioned the COVID obviously has maybe hampered some of the progress with that. Now that I think, how significant has the COVID impact has been? I mean, obviously, people are now saying that COVID may have changed the trajectory of e-tail, and maybe, and I'm not sure, I'd love to get your thoughts on how significant has COVID impacted the retail behavior, or at least certainly in Australia.
As for me, significant impact. There was two things what happens. First, in the early beginning of pandemic, there was hard to reach people who are responsible for the outlets just to make a presentation. That's the first one. Now and more or less good. But the second one is that there are not too many customers. The customer stream is customer bandwidth is lowered, and that's why we decided to go online. We build the same product for online. Of course, it takes another sources, not cameras, but heat maps on site, open pages, the same structure but different inputs.
Right. So, I mean, that is a massive pivot, not in terms of the business, but certainly in terms of the technology. And how's that playing out?
We are currently developing a prototype, so it's more or less clear what to do. We are building this not the first time, so we understand what to do. But two projects at a time takes twice more time.
Yeah. So with the product number one, is this something you plan to continue, or is this something that you're planning to shelf? I mean, where you're at with that?
No, I'm never going to shelf it. Just continue sales, continue integration, continue improving. Absolutely. In parallel, I'm doing online version of this.
So with the current business that you have at the moment with retail, what are your ideal customers? I mean, you mentioned that this has been trialed. What are these types of customers? Where is it most applicable? Are these high-end retail? Are they more suitable for certain types of retail?
It's high-end retail, furniture shops. They seem interest. They shown interest in there. There was one small grocery store, but groceries are not our target audience. The margin in groceries is not too big, related to say hi-fi industry, and that's why they normally have many big seasonal impact. For instance, some grocery products they are sold in various months, in some months and some months are not. But iPhones are sold all the year round.
Yeah.
So that's hard to measure, hard to truly measure the impact of Smart View application of Smart View in groceries. That's
And in terms of the cost side of it, I mean, what would be a typical infrastructure cost be for a retailer? I know you mentioned that it's per square meters, etc. But practically, I mean, what are some of the costs involved in implementing a technology like these?
yeah. The first, the very easy configuration is starts from 70,000 being deployed on an outlet, and it depends on what the client wants. If he wants notifications on his wearable device to all his assistants, that was one money. If he wants to just display on a cashier, that's another money, because there's no need to integrate with the adapter of variables. If he wants to attach loyalty systems, that's another money, because adapters of loyalty systems exist, and yeah, we are constantly developing some to make them working. Yeah, so starting from 70,000 and further.
And so you've got a number of pilots, and you've tried this out last year. And I know you mentioned that there's been some challenges with COVID. What's your projection? Where you're at exactly in terms of the business, and what are some of the key milestones that you're gonna have to hit this year or maybe next year?
This year we're going to finish with online version. Online version takes almost all my time, and the second thing we have in our roadmap is to finish with emotion recognition. Maybe we can find additional applications of emotions. That's because what you know what the initial goal why we started this. We started this as a automatic interviewing system to get what the client, if client tells lie or not. It's just behavior recognition. So after that, we decided to stop currently to shelf the emotions, the body language, and move further to retail. Now we're coming back.
Right. So you plan to go live. You mentioned you've got an MVP. You plan to go live
Yep.
and have this rolled out. What's next? I mean, how far do you want to take this? I mean, is this an Australia platform? Is this a global platform? What are some of your ambitions that you can share?
Of course, thinking forward to 10 years, I want this to be global. But there are no such plans, visible plans. I would like to capture Australia first, then go to maybe Asia Pacific, like this. China seems to be a good market.
I mean, the whole sensors and technology in retail, there's a lot of companies that are getting into this space. How do you handle competition, and who are some of the competitors in this space?
There are many companies which are doing AI things. They apply AI to almost any spheres of our life. Yeah, they try. Many of them take failure. Many of them are successful. But I don't treat them as direct competitors. I treat all my competitors as partners, potential partners. So we will win if we partner together. That's my understanding of things. I don't want to make a confrontation with some existing market players. I would take my niche and continue working on this rather than lose everything or make him lose everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see where you're at, and you busy building the product at the moment and getting it right for the launch. What are the most important criteria or the most strategic things that you need to get done? I mean, is it resources? Is it skills? Is it capital? What are some of the most important areas of your priority going forward?
Of course, capital is important, but the third is good talents. I'm constantly looking for people who may help us, and with which we can make long-term relationships, long-term partnerships. So my understanding here is that good partners is forever. Money can come and go, but good partners are forever.
And so, what are some of the types of partnerships and talent that would be a game changer for you?
I'm looking for technical partners. Yeah, technical partners, marketing partners, of course, because I'm a technical guy. I understand how it works. I understand all the techniques. I dig deeper into details. I love doing what I do, but of course, I need some hand in marketing. I need people who will be sleep and dream and think about how to build a great thing.
So you need somebody to help you the commercialization of that.
Yes.
Wake up in the morning thinking about sales and thinking about the
Yes.
business
Absolutely.
and all the commercial parts of the business, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what are some of the key hurdles that you have in recruiting and identifying and attracting these types of talent?
They don't come as a stream. This every partner is individual first. So when he comes, when I talk to some random person, I usually try to discover what's good in his character, what's he's after, what his interest. Not if he's interested in only money, I usually don't continue. I'm looking forward when they express interest in only money and say my hour is $100 per hour. So I ask him $100 per hour, and so what can you do? I can do what you tell me to do. So I don't need that.
Yeah. So it's very clear what you don't need. And so let's move on to the capital, because you mentioned that capital is obviously an importance and a priority, and I get that. What's been your capital journey so far?
So it was 600,000, and we are expecting to get a bit more this year. It's about maybe 1 million or maybe 1 million. So about 1 million, yeah.
So you mentioned you have 600,000 of capital that's already raised.
Yep.
We spend a lot of time. I mean, we come across a lot of startup founders who've not had the chance to get that first $600,000 raise. Give us some insights on how did you raise the first 600? What's been the journey like?
It was hard. It wasn't too easy, I would say. It took 4 years. For some startups, I know it takes 1 month or 2 months to build a good presentation. What's the steps, right? Build a good plan, show the traction, blah, blah, blah. But for us, it took about 4 years. Starting from the idea to implementation, as I mentioned, it wasn't the initial idea. It was an idea to understand body language. So we spent some time to research. We spent about a year and a half just to research the body language, build a model to recognize how people, what people do when they tell lie, or that the people do when they feel shy, or what do they do? And then we decided to go retail, but we realized that retail and emotions are not combined, not the first step. So the first step should be just tracking. Yeah. It's nothing to do with emotions.
So 600,000. What are some of the things you've tried that didn't work before it worked?
I tried. I tried a lot of things. I tried starting with just pitching demos, just pitching demos without product, pitching product without demo, pitching just product, applying traffic, buying traffic on various socials. Um, what else? Just hiring someone who will sell. So these things won't work. And eventually, I found a guy who's a private investor, and we spent about 3 months just talking and just talking to him and making the presentation ready. And and he was the first investor.
And what was the? I mean, it's obviously been a little while now, and you must have gotten really good friends with that investor. Did he tell you what was the thing that he invested? You know, what was his main reason he invested?
I think he invested in me.
And what did
I
he
think
see
so.
in you?
Sorry?
What did he see in you that kind of said, yeah, I think he's the guy?
I don't know. I don't know what specifically, but basically, I think it's he's seen that I'm AI driven. I'm driving to make this happen.
Was he himself a tech person or not tech person? Tell us a bit
Very
more
very
about
past, very past.
that. Okay,
He was a tech person, but now he's related to banks.
right. So, I mean, a tech person can identify tech, but a non-tech person would probably have to take a massive gamble on you, right?
Usually, tech persons, when two techs are coming on the table, they begin to discuss some tech things, which is a common ground for them. And usually, when it happens, they do not move too fast because they stay. Everyone has its own position, and who's stronger will keep the position and push the opponent to move to this position as well. So, in my team, there's only one technician, so one CTO like me, and the others I'm looking for, they are marketers. They do not conflict with my ideas.
So your first investor, are you able to share how much did the first investor invest before you had others that came on board?
That's only one. That's only
Okay.
600,000.
Wow, that's a lot of cash for a single investor. Was that institutional investment, or essentially was that
That
angel?
that was an angel. That was a private investment. We started a company, and he put all the money to the account.
Yeah.
There's a step by step, of course.
Yeah. So you had the money that coming in multiple tranches. What's it like having one significant strategic investor and working with an investor and having that person potentially being, when you have multiple stakeholders, I mean, it's a little different, but when you have one major investor like that that's taken a huge risk, what's it like working with an investor like that?
It's fair. Sometimes, from my perspective, it looks like something uncertain. When we become arguing with him on some point. Of course, he's an adult man. He understands everything, and but to recommend others, I would never recommend to stick with one investor only. You need to be in really good relations with him.
Yeah. And so what are some of your what would be some of the advice you'd give to other startup founders that might find that one single investor that'll drop $600,000?
If they find one, so they need to build really good relations to him, real good, because everything is based on it. It's like a work. You come in office, and once when one day you come into office, maybe in some worse scenario, people understand that they are fired, so they lose everything, right? The same in here. People stick with one investor, and yes, if it happens, sometimes this may happen. They lose everything. They just they need to start from scratch.
Has there been moments in your situation where the relationship has been very rocky?
Yes, of course they were.
And how did you overcome that?
Usually, I do not keep in myself. I don't dwell on some bad things. I come to a conversation. Every time we have problems. Yes, we had problems. We had huge problems, but I start and I discuss, and everything is solved in 20 minutes.
And if you sort of look back and you think, there are things that you probably argue about more, and the things you probably have never had any reason to argue, where it's almost like, you identify your lane. You talked about the lane, right? He's probably in his lane in certain areas, and you're in your lane, and there's probably some areas where he doesn't interfere with certain things. Like, he's like, you know what, Maxine, this is your thing. I'm not going to interfere. How do you define what are his lanes, and what are and what are the areas of conflicts?
After one of conflicts, we decided not to interfere in our lanes. So he said, "Okay, you are a tech guy. I will never go in the tech, and even if I know then how things should be, I will never touch it because I believe in you, and believe that you will bring the product into right direction. So I will help you in marketing. I help you in some other things like legal stuff. So I will advertise it in my circles when I'm interacting. So and after that happens after one conflict when we're close to finish.
Yeah. Now going forward, you mentioned that there is interest in bringing other investors on board. What's your plans around that, and how do you think about going to attract other investors?
Other investors are asking for traction. So to build a solid traction, we need to start needs to go public. Now we are just working with our prototype. We need to finish by the end of this year. We have a plan to finish all things I mentioned, like go online, finish with emotions, and nearly the end of this year we will start actively marketing campaign to attract other customers which don't know us. Our customers heard about us. Current customers heard about us, and we need to go forward. We need to get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. Is that kind of where you sort of think? Because product development is going to always be there, right? It's just that when you kind of launch your product and you kind of out in the market, the business may need to change gears a little bit in terms of how you operate, and how you run the business, and the profile of your team will start changing as well. How are you setting it up for that?
Yes, of course, we need to leverage some kind of interaction with or things we are doing. Of course, when a team consists of 3 members, it's easy to manage. When a team consists of 53 members, that you need to make some layers. You cannot control 53 persons at a time. Otherwise, you will not get any time to do anything else. So that's it. Comes to my my metaphor about the boat. And sometimes when we are in boat, we need to go to the mast and see where we're going. We actually don't know, or while we're in the boat, we don't know what's happening around. We need to go higher. sometimes.
Yeah. How big is your team at the moment?
5 members.
5 members.
Yep.
And what's the team dynamics like? Tell us a bit more about your, what happens in a day.
We have pretty relaxed environment. We don't have an office. We work remotely. My team is distributed. We have people from Thailand, from United States, from Russia, from South Africa. So people are working together, and we have, of course, we have some other team to assist us when we need, but the major team is, as I mentioned. So, and what we do is we don't have any specific work time. It's important because we live in different time zones, and with Thai guy we can talk. With Americans, of course, we can talk early in the morning. But yes, mostly we don't have time to be in all together. So that's why we use messaging systems to communicate over messages. And I, as a team leader, I talk to every person by voice. Yeah.
And at what point do you go from 5 people to, you mentioned 53?
53 is random example.
I thought maybe it's something you've thought that through, but I mean, at some point, you might have 53 people. And what does that timeline look like, if at all?
By the end of the year, I would like to. My idea, which is proven, is we don't need to just extend the team just because we want to extend the team. Every team member should do something valuable. And I don't want to. Of course, I can hire 53 members. That's easy. Just ask them to come, and they will come. But if I have a million, I will get a problem with this million. So we need to go step by step.
Yeah. So is capital a major barrier to building the team, or do you have enough capital secured, or do you have access to potential capital that can be extended using your current investor?
Yeah, I have capital secured, and I have access to potential capital, of course, but that's not the reason why we are not extending the team. The main reason is that we need to go accordingly to our roadmap, and on this stage we don't need more people.
That totally makes sense. Tell us a bit. I mean, let's just go back a little bit in time and understand Maxim yourself. How did you end up in this space? Because obviously you've got a lot of energy and passion. How did you end up in this startup?
A good question. I started about 20 years ago as a software developer, software engineer, and my interests were system engineering. I got into electronics. I got into assembly language. I wrote a lot of kernel drivers. So that took first maybe 7 years of my professional career. But then I decided that, as for me, I want to make my life more bright, more full of adventures, and the focus is changing. When in maybe 30 years ago, the computer programs went to massive, and they were more about the professionalism of the author, the professional skills, but so they were more about idea. Now it's more about a flow. We need to. It's not a state of art anymore. It's a business.
So with that, I mean, at what point, at what point did you say, well, you wanted to start up this startup? What was the sort of moment of that epiphany where you said, well, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to leave a secure job, and move into the entrepreneurship world?
The Yeah, I moved out of my job maybe 10 years ago. Um, I was interested in making in AI things these days, and I started studying psychology, behavior psychology, and I was interested in negotiations as well. So how people do show signs of they are telling some wrong things, uh, something without talking by their language, body language, and I studied that and applied that to my career a bit, uh, and then I wanted to automate that, and that was the initial idea how I went to this field. After 5 years, I tried myself in various kinds. I trade stocks. I trying to find myself and trained myself in this industry. I applied artificial intelligence into into stock trading algorithms, built a kind of successful strategies. Yeah, these days. So, but this also is about psychology, behavior psychology. The mass market is all about psychology. But yeah, things are going further, and yeah, 5 years ago I decided to start this and to implement the psychology and combine and marriage psychology and artificial intelligence.
So security trading is obviously a fascinating area as well, and I've seen your videos as well on sort of algorithmic tradings
Yep.
and the way I see it is, I mean, obviously the whole day trading is getting hammered and it's getting crushed with algorithmic trading, right, or black box trading, as it's often called. What's your view on that? And is this something you're still pursuing, or you're kind of having to shelf that because you've got a bigger idea? How do you balance that out?
I'm still pursuing that. That's my baby. I love that as well, and what I do in algorithmic trading, I'm constantly thinking about that. I continue doing this, and I love doing several things at a time. I love waking up. I wake up about 4:30 in the morning every day and go to bed about 9. So that's my work day, and I'm constantly doing something great. Um, that's algorithmic trading is one of these things. I constantly develop new trading algorithms. Now I am developing algorithms for trading options. Um, that's much more complicated rather than usual stocks or futures.
So what have you been applying the trading on? I mean, have you been, obviously you might have done a fair bit of trading on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of at the moment going really interesting. Um, I mean, there was a point, where it got hammered as well, and a lot of people short Bitcoins as well, and obviously people that have gone long have done very well in Bitcoins. I mean, what are some of the securities that is of interest to you?
I usually trade on American markets. That's some securities with big market cap, mm, like Apple, Microsoft. So I prefer these industries, IT industry. But I think a good trader could operates with any assets of any kind. In cryptocurrencies, stocks, futures, options, commodities, anything. That's we can trade absolutely everything, and if there are candles or bars, we can do this.
So I mean, this whole market has. I mean, the idea of algorithmic trading is not new. People have been writing algorithms for a very long time. It may not be AI based or machine learning based, but certainly rules based. And that's been going on for a very long time. I guess what's probably changing, I think, is that a lot of that is democratized, and a lot more people are doing it. And a lot of these technologies are accessible to your day traders, perhaps. How are you differentiating what's available? I mean, in fact, these days it's not hard to get signaling systems accessible. You can subscribe to them fairly inexpensively. Back in the day, you had to follow somebody, and they would give you signals, and then you'd had to figure out your own signals. But often people relied on expert signal providers to be able to do that. How do you think about applying your methods to markets?
Yeah, good question. The what I see in market is that my trading experience showed me that if everyone sees some event, that won't work too long. So my idea is to find something which only I can see. And yes, I tested on our historical data, and of course it works. Before it need to work to show positive profits once tested. But I don't rely on well-known algorithms. I know them. I know patterns. I know most of AI technologies in this space. I don't use them. I know I'm aware about them, but yeah, I don't recommend just to copy other success, because that not gonna work not too long. You need to dig deeper into details, understand when the markets reverse, and understand how and why it changed, why it changed the direction, and build your own theory. That the only thing it work.
Yeah. And so, how much time do you spend in, identifying the trends, and maybe going against the market, perhaps in some cases? And it kind of sounds to me like you're thinking about being a contrarian. I mean, are you more of a contrarian trader, or are you thinking about still following the market momentums? I mean, what are some of the considerations that you have as you think about that?
I have I have a number of trading bots which allow me to track the market. They are mostly advisors. There's no trading. I'm trading manually still, but these guys are showing they show the momentum of the current trend. When the big guys come in on market, I need to just tailgate.
Awesome. So, I mean, obviously, you're very passionate about this retail idea. It's hot, and that's exciting. You've got some really interesting things you do with trading, and that can be still highly profitable, done right, and with a good system. What else? I mean, you said you like variety. What are the things you do that occupies your space and time?
I do a lot of research. I do a lot of reading. I think the main point of every educated person is to read a lot. So to stay aware of what's happening in the world. I starting my day from news on economic news, news in technology space. So yes, and I have number of people who are constantly talking to me. We exchange opinions about what's going on, like about economic words, what this affect, what may affect, may not. Just discussing that.
And as a founder, I know you do a lot of mentoring work as well. What would be your top 2 or 3 advice that you often give to founders that is perhaps not as common?
I know the common answers is do what you do, don't regret, right? Like this. So my advice will be simple. I will get. I think they need to find something unique, right? Innovative idea, and understand if the idea is if they can do this, if they find strengths feel the power to do this, they need to go only that. If not, definitely, I would recommend to go to office then.
So that's all we have time for, Maxine. We've just spent an hour talking about this. It's
Really?
amazing. Absolutely. What's the best way to reach out to you?
I have a website, my personal, maxilive.com. And the best way is to reach through that, through my website. So I'm open to conversation of any kind. So I will welcome if I can help our listeners to do something great or to collaborate in any way.
Awesome. So that's all we have at the moment. Over to our executive producer, Nick. Is there any question from the audience, by the way?
Yeah, just we always like to end with a question. So before we sign off today, because we're getting to the top of the hour, how about, Maxim, we have a question about kind of, you're one of our most versed guests in AI and in fintech and markets and that kind of thing. And a lot of people, kind of almost a mythology at this point, but there's talking about this AI bubble and how AI is going to be implemented and become really, really, impactful and everywhere we see. What's your timeline for the next 5-10 years? When do you think, what do you see in the future of AI for fintech and for commercial technology?
You know what AI is? AI is what modern AI, which we call an AI. It's a set of statistical algorithms at most. So they were developed 500 years ago, and they never changed too much since that. So in this case, I think AI applications will grow for various industries, and for fintech, it might be something which some just an idea. It's something which allow people to work with money, to transfer money, to make an easy money route, to step for the universal currency like this. That's my understanding of how the AI is where the AI is going to.
Fantastic. So that brings us to the end of our podcast today. We will be live this Friday again at 3:30. Callum, how about you give us some final words and we'll sign off?
Thank you very much, Maxime. I mean, I learned a lot during this hour. I mean, thank you so much. This has been really exciting. With that, thank you very much. This is Callum Bir signing off.